P. Diddy? Well, 1,000 bottles of lube says he P definitely did. So, Springer, huh? If you've been around a while, you'll know I've made my feelings in the green prick pretty clear. I'm not a fan. He's always struck me as a jock, a cretin, and an underachiever. A bot who was gifted with size, good looks, and two alt modes, but he really didn't do much of anything in the G1 cartoon. In my mind, Springer falls into the same camp as Sunstreaker and Sideswipe. They're undoubtedly very handsome bots, but they lack the character and charm of the smaller, uglier, gremlin-esque members of the Autobot ranks. I find the likes of Gears, Cosmos, and Brawn far more entertaining with their fugly design and charming personality quirks. Perhaps so, I've been a bit harsh on Springer. After all, he was part of the new squad of bots introduced in the 86 movie, and objectively, that movie is beyond perfection. It's as if it was scripted and drawn, frame by God, inked with the blood of Jesus, and the reels of film pushed out of the Virgin Mary's immaculate birth canal. Surely Springer by association has to be cool, right? Well, after doing some investigation, watching a Chris McFeely Basics video, I discovered Springer was initially supposed to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger type character who had the ability to jump tremendous distances like a mechanical green Neil Breen, hence the Springer name.
No, that is not true.
That unique ability was unfortunately dropped, and Springer became the dull, big old drip that we all know from the movie and season 3 of the cartoon. He did have some cool moments though, like saying the "I've got better things to do tonight than die" line before shooting his big load all over Devastator's back. His most notable cartoon appearance was probably in the episode where Rodimus, Ultra Magnus, RC and him got turned into humans. The true star of that episode was undoubtedly Dad Bod Ultra Magnus. If he had a moustache, he'd give Max Ray a run for his money. The big old stud muffin. To find Springer's coolness, you have to look further afield, to the UK exclusive stories of the Marvel comic. Springer was introduced in the comic as a member of the Wreckers. No, not the home wreckers, like that bitch Denise who stole my daddy away with her loose morals and feminine wiles. Fuck you, Denise. No, the Wreckers were the Autobot version of the Suicide Squad, only with less Will Smith. Plus, they were actually cool, as opposed to being brought together in a movie made by a soulless corporate Lovecraftian entity to harvest money from geeks like you. The Wreckers were introduced as Emirate Zaron's special ops team on Cybertron. These were the fellas you sent in when all other options had failed. A group of grizzled and battle-hardened Autobots who would always get the job done, no matter the cost. This was demonstrated by the Wreckers having a higher mortality rate than a Russian roulette tournament between Star Trek red shirts and clones of Sean Bean. The team was originally led by Impactor and featured a veritable who's that of Autobots, including the 3 Autobot triple changers, Broadside, Sandstorm, and of course Springer. After a botched assassination plot, Impactor ended up taking a bullet intended for Emirate Zaron. As the oddly Decepticon-coloured bot lay dying, he passed command of the Wreckers to Springer. Unquestionably, being in charge of a group of badass and battle-hungry Autobots is cool. So well done, Springer, you green prick. So having established that at least one version of Springer was indeed cool, does he actually have a decent toy? Well, when I reviewed Wreck and Rule Springer, I called him the worst figure in my collection, so that doesn't seem too promising. However, Studio Series 86 Springer has now arrived. Being the same mould with a little retooling, I didn't have high hopes for him, but my God, I was wrong. Look at this fella. A repaint, some new shoulders and a fresh head sculpt have worked wonders. I hated the shade of snot green on Wreck and Roll Springer. Combined with this pus yellow and drab grey, looking at him made me feel genuinely ill. It's like looking at the contents of a used tissue from someone with a nasty chest infection. Studio Series 86 has went for a much nicer muted green that works so much better with his yellow accents and the blue-grey of his legs. Springer's chest has been completely remoulded to be more accurate to his design in the 86 movie. This remoulding isn't just cosmetic though. The way the chest held together on the Wreck and Roll Springer was a travesty on the same level as J.K. Rowling's treatment of that female boxer that won the Olympics. Guess the tendrils of the black mould are seeping further into that hateful witch's addled brain. This was my biggest problem with Wreck and Roll Springer. Due to how shite his chest was, transformation was a daunting prospect. Studio Series 86 Springer fixes that issue and taps in securely to his tummy, whilst also adding an extra flap internally to aid in his transformation. What a difference this makes. I actually enjoy the transformation process now, instead of spending half an hour shouting obscenities and throwing Springer against a wall. Springer's head sculpt is spot on. It's a perfect depiction of the character from the 86 movie, as opposed to looking like a guy who's just followed through on a particularly risky fart. There's not too much movement on the ball joint, but it's enough to be pleasantly expressive, especially if you pull it up from the joint just a wee bit. Springer's shoulders have also been improved significantly. Instead of being static, they can now be tilted for extra cartoon accuracy. It's a nice touch, but lifting Springer's arms reveals these hollow gaps underneath. It's not too big a deal. It reminds me of the facade I present to hide my many crippling mental disorders. Apart from this, Springer is looking great from all angles. Springer comes with a butt ton of accessories. They're not all necessary, and some are a bit weird. Like, when the fuck did Springer ever use a massive green Thor hammer? Anyway, I love this cartoon accurate blaster and sword. This is so much better for duking it out with Retgar. If you don't like this particular chib, don't worry, as Springer's rotors can also be satisfyingly folded up into a chunky blade. Plus, you also get the joiny up guns from the Siege version, if you don't like the cartoon style blaster. There are some people with no taste after all. You also get the bomb he used that one time in the movie. You're guaranteed to have veritable seconds of fun with this. You can pick it up, you can look at it, you can put it down again. Yeah, Springer can even hold the bomb with these sweet opening hands, so that's obviously worth the £50 price tag alone. Overall, Robot Mode in Studio Series 86 Springer feels so much nicer than the Siege mould. There's a chunkiness to Studio Series 86 that just feels delightful in hand, like a nice, big, weighty boob. All Springer's joints feel reassuringly tight, so posing him is definitely a good time. Also, due to the improved chest design, transformation is now simple and satisfying, like the pleasure of taking a large baguette-sized tolly after days of painful constipation. Both alt modes here remain largely unchanged from the Siege version, but that's a good thing. The car and the helicopter modes in the Siege version were pretty much spot on, so there wasn't much that needed to be improved on. My OCD is slightly triggered that Springer's front and back wheels are now different colours. Why can't they both be green or both be grey? Ever so slightly infuriating. The biggest change is this backpack, which contains posable air intakes, which face upward in car mode and on the side in helicopter mode. They really don't add much to either alt mode, but they're not offensive in any way. Unlike the smell of your body odour. Get a shower, you mink. The only noticeable QC issue on my copy is that these arm panels, which become the wee helicopter wings, are a bit loose. It's not too much of a bother, especially since they sit securely in both robot and helicopter modes, but I do have to complain about something, eh? I suppose I should mention that there's a secret rocket in here, but you have to turn Springer's arm upside down and it looks heavy shite, especially with the floppy arm panels. So, should you upgrade from Siege Springer and get this fella? I totally think he's worth it, even at his current hefty price. For me, Springer is an important part of my collection due to his role in the 86 movie, and I'm glad to now have a great figure of the boring green fuck. Even Wreck and Roll Springer has found a new home on my record shelf. His awful colour scheme is more accurate to the comics after all, so I'll display him beside his former boss and Pactor. Now all I need is for Emirates Aron and Flame to arrive. I can't wait. I'm quite happy if this is the way the Studio Series 86 line is headed. If characters aren't getting an entirely new mould, at least the glaring issues from the original mould can be fixed. Studio Series 86 Springer definitely fulfills this brief. Unlike Studio Series 86 Blaster, fuck's sake Hasbro, how many times are you going to reissue this mould? You think a tiny change in paint apps and having a properly painted eject is going to make me buy this again? Ho 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 ho! Think again. What do you take me for, some kind of chump? Well, I maybe will buy him, but I'm waiting for a bloody sale. Oh, he's out of stock everywhere. If I really want him now. Fuck's sake. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Catch you later.
Like, subscribe until you die. Like, subscribe until you die. Like, subscribe until you die.